What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. On today's video, yes, we're talking about Tesla Model 3 again. Why I decided to make this video, I want to help you guys out that had never ever even driven an electric vehicle, understand how they operate. Hopefully after you watch this video, you'll know whether doing the Tesla rental is going to work out in your area or not. Now, a couple of important things to know before you even think of doing the Tesla rental. Number one, you should know your area to the T. Like, you have to know how many miles you usually gotta drive to make the numbers that you usually shoot for every day. Why is that important? That'll dictate whether you should get a long range or a short range Model 3. In my personal opinion, I have got several of them. Just so that you know, I'm in the LA market, Los Angeles. We do drive a lot on a daily basis when you do Uber, so the long range is the way to go. Now, why do I recommend the long range whether you're on a small town or a big city? Is because you want to make sure that you do the best you can to avoid having to go to the supercharger so often. Now that you know how many miles you gotta drive to hit those numbers that you try to achieve every day or every shift, now it is really important that you know how many chargers you have available in your market and how far apart are they from each other. I'm gonna take you inside one of my Model 3s and I want to show you what it looks like on the screen where all the chargers are at, so you have a better idea of what is it that you're looking for once you get into a Model 3. Also, I'm going to leave a link on the description of today's video that's going to take you into a Tesla map where it shows you where all the superchargers are at anywhere in the US, even I believe outside the US too. But anyways, I'm going to leave that link on the description of the video, so you go ahead and click on it right now and it'll give you a better idea what to look like on the supercharging situation in your specific market. Now, let's go outside and take a look at my Model 3. All right, so I'm sitting in my first generation 2018 long range rear wheel drive Tesla Model 3. Obviously, you're going to be sitting on the newer one if after you watch my video you still make the decision to try it out. But these things pretty much look all the same. This right here is the screen that you're going to get. If you want to know what superchargers are around you, all you got to do is, usually it's going to be like that. You tap once, you tap that little bolt right there, and then boom, look at all the stuff. You see all of these little red bubbles. Those are your superchargers. Okay, the number inside of that right there is the amount of connectors that are available right now, and if you click on them, it's going to give you the price based on the time. I'm sorry about my phone not focusing. If you notice right here, from 12 a.m. all the way to 4 a.m., that is what is cheaper. That is what you're mostly gonna see all around the country. Now, I want to show you what the LA area looks like. Okay, here's what this area looks like. When you click on chargers, look, boom. There's so many of them that once you know your area, you will never, and let me just tell you this, you will never be afraid that you're going to run out of charge. Now, there's a lot more chargers available that are not Tesla. Those chargers are not as fast. If you looked over here on top, you see that one lighting bulb is grayed out. That means that level 1 chargers are not being shown in there. Sometimes they are being shown. I don't know why it's grayed out. That'll be level 2, level 3, mostly what you're seeing. Level 2 is 150 kilowatt. Level 3, 250 kilowatt. These are the ones you're going to go to. Just like it says right here. Level 1 are 72 kilowatt. You want to avoid those. Those are obviously the slow ones. All the people that say, oh, don't even rent it, because I rent one and I spent an hour every time I went there. One thing that most new drivers don't know, and they don't even take the time to research, all they want is they want to go to the subreddit, the Uber drivers subreddit, and spit out how much they hate these things and how much of a waste of time it was. They most likely went to a slow charger. When you go to a Tesla level 1 charger, 72 kilowatt, you will be there for 1 hour if you're empty, okay? Other than that, when you go to a supercharger, and it's a fast one, it's a 250 kilowatt level 3 supercharger, which most of them nowadays, at least here in LA, most of them are that fast. You're only going to be there for 35 minutes, okay? Now that we got that out of the way, the one thing that I want you to understand about these vehicles, when you look at the screen and it tells you how many miles, it's going to give you an example. That right there, 130, let me see if the phone wants to focus. 134 miles, okay? I don't have my newer Model 3 here. My son is driving it today. But 134 miles on these old 2018. I know this car because I drive it every day. So I know those 134 is more like 120 miles of usable range. I know in my market exactly how many miles I need to drive every day to hit a certain dollar amount. It is hyper important that before you try to do the Tesla rental, it is hyper important that you know how many miles you usually have to drive to make a certain dollar amount. Why? Because that right there, it'll dictate whether it's going to be worth for you to get a long range or a short range. In my personal opinion, you should always, no matter where you live, you should always go for the long range. Not only is it going to save you a lot of time, but there's going to be a couple of trips that if you have the short range, you'll probably miss. Once you know how long the vehicle takes to charge and what is a realistic mileage that you can use out of what the screen tells you, then you're gonna schedule your day around it. In my case, okay, I fill up. I have a charger here. I have a charger in my other house on the street. They're both Tesla chargers. If you live in a house that does not have a Tesla charger, most likely you're gonna have a washer and dryer outlet. That is another option to charge at home. Now, going back to knowing how many miles you actually get used out of whatever the screen says, okay? I start at 3 in the morning every day, and I try to start with a fresh battery. Again, this is an older vehicle. This is a 2018 first generation Model 3 with just over 90,000 miles. My battery does not behave the same as our older 2022 Model 3. Why? It's an older battery. This one is a little beat up. So when the vehicle was new, was 310 miles out of a full charge. Those 310 miles were more like 280-ish if I wasn't driving too aggressive, right? As of today, this vehicle, if I do a 90% charge, used to be 290-ish miles. As of today, if I do a 90% charge, it only shows 261 miles. Out of those 261 miles, I know that I get a usable 235, 240 miles, right? In the mornings when I start, if I plan on doing Uber for more than half a day, remember I have a job. I cannot do these full time every day, although there are weeks that it might look like I do it full time, but it's not. I already know the time of the morning, how many miles I got to put on this vehicle to hit a certain dollar amount. If you live in a market that when a full charge on a newer Model 3, which is more than 300 miles or just under 300, depends on how much you charge on a daily basis. If you cannot, in my personal opinion, if you cannot squeeze at least 200, 220-ish, I don't want to push it too far, out of a full charge, $220, $230, maybe a little bit more than that, or let's bring it down to 200 out of a full single charge. If you don't get at least that much, let me tell you something. Do not do not even try to rent a Tesla from Hertz or any other electric vehicle that they're going to offer you, because you probably live in a market that if those numbers are not doable without killing yourself, without having to hit 10, 12 hours on a regular vehicle, then just don't even think about the Tesla rental. Okay? I think this pretty much sums up the main idea. Now, there's another thing that you should know about these vehicles before you even touch them. Okay? Two variants: rear wheel drive, dual motor. When you go to the rental office, most likely standard range is going to be rear wheel drive. Dual motor is going to be a long range. Okay? And the rear wheel drive vehicle, mine is a 2018 first generation long range. I've noticed that on the older ones, at least it's been my experience, the rear wheel drive on a long range model is the battery a little bit slower than the dual motors. Again, when you go to the Hertz office, you're gonna have most likely two options. By the way, try, no matter what market you at, try to make an appointment, and try to make that appointment as early in the morning as possible so you walked in there before anybody else. Okay? If you get a dual motor, listen, you only got to tap it and you'll be on the freeway doing 80, 85. If you got a heavy foot, you got to subtract a lot more miles out of what the screen says. I got a heavy foot, but when I'm doing Uber, I try to keep it 70, 75. Some of you might laugh and say, if I do 70 or 75 on the freeway, my riders are going to get mad. Well, maybe in your market that's the case. Here in LA, I do a lot of airport runs and I do a lot of long runs on the freeway, and I've never till this day, after a year of doing Uber and a few thousand rides, I have never had a complaint from somebody saying you're driving too slow. Now, knowing the amount of power that this vehicle consumes when you have a heavy foot should also answer the question for you whether you should do this or not. Just to give you an example, let's say I do a 90% charge right now, 261 miles on that screen, about 240 miles of usable range. At what speeds? 70, 75. Why do I emphasize on these? Because you need to understand that these are things that nobody's going to tell you. Please watch my video as many times as you have to. And once you watch it a few times, watch it again. Because I don't want you to make the mistakes that a lot of other drivers make. Typical mistake number one: they don't know how the vehicle consumes battery. They don't know how the vehicle operates in general. What do? They try to save money. They get a standard range. Please listen to what this man here is saying. Do not get the short range. Short range or standard range, however you want to call it, it is not worth it. Okay? Long range, I know it's a little bit more money, but trust me when I tell you, you won't regret it. Okay? Remember, know your area, know how many miles you usually got to drive to hit a certain dollar amount, know how many chargers are available. By the way, if you made it this far into the video, on the description of the video, along with the link to the Tesla charger map, I'm going to include the name of a app that tells you where all the electric vehicle chargers are available, whether they're Tesla or not. You're going to click on that link and download it. It's going to help you navigate your city, because it'll tell you exactly what all these hidden plugs are at. They might be slower than the Tesla ones, a lot slower, but it's going to save you and it's going to be free. So I hope that I didn't leave any mistakes out of this video, and if I did, feel free to ask me questions. I'll be more than happy to go ahead and answer them for you. Okay? One thing you need to understand, okay? These vehicles, if you let them sit under the sun, there's a couple of features that the vehicle have that might eat up a few miles on these vehicles. If you keep it on the garage because you have a space available, it's going to prevent you from sucking up more miles because of the climate control fans and all that good stuff going on and off.
little details that nobody tells you that you should know.
Well, there you have it. I hope the video helped you out. If it did help you out, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe for videos that are similar to this one, trying to help you out on this whole Uber journey. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.